Welcome, everybody, and to you, James, especially in the chat, to My Hero Academia Beyond, My Hero Analysis Beyond the MHA Rewatch. I am your host, Tom Uatu de Grazia, joined, as always, by my co-host, Steph Stalagmite Thriller Bear. Did you add the whole thing in your name this week, or was that always there?
It's always been there.
Oh, I don't know. My brain is fried. Like, we're almost coming up on a full year of pandemic quarantine. I feel like my brain is like stagnated somewhere in the middle of that year.
Yeah, I was gonna say your hair's missing too.
A lot of it is missing. Yes. The guy that I finally went to go get a haircut 2 weeks ago, like just a couple days before we were supposed to do. This is the movie special. So we are covering tonight the special episode of season 3 that leads into the movie. As well as the movie itself, the first movie. So something a little bit different for you guys. And I got my hair cut like 2 days before we were planning on recording last week. And it was going to be like a big surprise, but we ended up delaying it, which actually worked out perfect in my mind. But yeah, it feels a lot different. I don't know. And the guy that cut it like left it a lot longer on top than I wanted. But at the same time, like my hair has never been that long before. So might as well. You know, you can't grow. You can always grow it back, but you can't like magically grow it back within a day. So I could always kind of just trim it back now.
Yeah.
Enough hair talk. What else? Is there anything else to talk about before we just jump into things? Because we do have a big show this evening. Might as well actually. Let's just dive right into the special episode. We could take a little break between the special episode and the movie. Because I will tell you, just based on the number of screens we have to talk about, we are I would say well above the normal amount of screens by at least a full episode's worth than normal. So, without further ado, the special episode, which is like Save the World with Love, I think is the name.
It's a ridiculous title, but it works. It works.
Totally does. That's not what I want to share at all.
No.
I'm removing that. And I'm going to be sharing now. Oh, it's over here. Okay, so also a little more behind the scenes stuff. New tech. The video this week. There's always something new with the video. There's always like a new way that the streaming platform that we use is like, hey, we have a new way to share video. And so like, I'll try it all. Screw it. So it never looks the same. Nothing's ever normal, whatever. But anyway.
It works.
Yep.
So, kind of getting to the point for this whole episode, it's basically just a warm-up to introduce the movie. So it's All Might kind of introducing that he has maybe a past. Someone sends him an email, something's going on about a friend that could be off somewhere. And on the end of this episode, he's going to take Midori on a vacation to meet this person.
Yeah.
So,
and I love that they actually bookend this episode with these like ridiculous screens of them wearing Plus Ultra t-shirts, them breaking the fourth wall, talking about like going to see the movie in theaters and all this stuff. Like it's an adorable way to frame a special episode. And they haven't done that. They didn't do that for the second movie. And I wonder if they'll do something for the third movie that's coming up after season 5. Because I don't know. I kind of like this episode's ridiculous. But like my favorite parts of it are the bookended pieces, in the beginning and end. But we do get a little touch into All Might's past here.
Yeah, and you kind of introduce characters that we're going to end up talking about later for when the movie happens anyways. I did adore Cementos's little like fanboy moments too, this part, and then we kind of get to the kids. They're going to have a special hero class on how to save someone. I don't know why these 6 needed a special class, but we'll roll with it.
They actually said they're like, because it's a special class, we're segmenting off the students. So it's like this weekend, this 6, the next weekend, it's a different 6, different set of kids get different weekends.
I skipped that part. I was like, why are these 6? They're never in trouble. Well, not in trouble for grades.
you think it'd be a weird group, although like powerful group. I mean, perhaps like the most powerful of all the kids. I think they're missing like maybe Momo in the power set, but great set.
And then it's basically like the whole episode of Razorhead set up a big training ground where All Might's the villain, and then you have 3 other heroes tied up inside, and it's a jewelry store heist, and they're supposed to use their hero analysis to try to figure out how to stop this villain. And they have the cardboard cutouts of the police and everything else just going all crazy.
I love the setup of it was great. Also, like they didn't know who. One of the like I think the special things about it was they didn't know who was going to be playing the villain. They knew who was going to be involved. They knew it was going to be All Might and Midnight, Cementos, and President Mike. Yep. So we had like those 4. They knew that they were all involved, but they didn't know how many of them were going to be villains, how many would be hostages, if there was going to be any other surprises kind of thrown into the mix, that kind of stuff. So they kind of like do like a little scouting to find out what the situation is. And they send Ochako floating up to a window to kind of like peek in.
Which was Bakugo's idea, which I thought was very like random. And he calls her by her name and doesn't even call her like round face or whatever else he wants to call her. So I was like, okay.
It was great that it's his idea. And then all of a sudden he completely like, because it's like, let's take it safe. Let's get the information. Now let's just blow open the building. I'm like, that's an extreme jump.
I think, and I like that Eraserhead was like, I knew this was going to happen because of the players that were involved. Because I think that Ida and Midoriya aren't the most decisive of people. Because even Shoto was like with Bakugo, he was like wanting to do something to start moving forward. Yeah. And at least Bakugo's like, let me go make a mess and you guys just come in and save people. Because that's basically what I'm here for, is to make a mess.
Yeah, though, I mean, like, talk about property damage, because like he blows open the door. Well, we'll get to it. Yeah, they blow open the door, and the villain's already down on the ground.
Yeah,
right. Dead, quote unquote. But it's like there's so much property damage done where there didn't have to be any. No, really, like.
But he did say it was a small explosion.
He did, but you know how much it costs to replace pane glass like that?
I do actually.
Yeah, that's not cheap. And it's like, dude, a small explosion is still an explosion.
We had a crazy lady try to run over some pedestrians, and they went through our Safeway doors and took that out.
Purposefully tried
to kill these kids because they flipped her off. And she went in and she took out a check stand almost. She went through the doors, and so it was quite the penny to replace.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's horrifying.
It was not a good thing.
I thought this moment was really adorable.
It is.
Yeah, like Sue is checking on the dead body to see, what's going on, and like he's not actually dead because he kind of like giggles and like because she's tickling his nose with her hair, and he giggles and like he's not actually dead, but it looks like he's supposed to be. So they just treat him as dead for the exercise because obviously All Might's not going to die.
No.
In this exercise.
And so in that part, I like they flip it on him later, and I'm like, they wouldn't know it's an exercise.
Though, I mean, I guess to Aizawa's credit, when he does chastise him later, they do not tie up the villain. So if there was even an off chance where his quirk was to be like a state of deceased or something like that, like I think you got to take all the precautions in this world, this crazy hero world where the
tie up dead people
could be real, right? Yeah, it's James hit the nail on the head here. People are exhausting. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, this whole like murder mystery part of the episode was kind of like, I think it was just enough time for Deku to talk about his crazy wild like story he made up in his head. But I did enjoy that the 3 teachers were like super into it.
They played their roles very seriously.
Yeah. This was just an awesome, like, All Might as a villain is very villainous.
Yeah, he had like a good look to him. It was good that they like had him cover his face because he's always smiling and just kind of goofy.
He's probably smiling right now.
Imposing.
Their backstories, I bet you they made them themselves.
For sure, President Mike did.
I just didn't know how many times you could say "yo" in a sentence during this entire episode. I was like more interested in that. But the whole point of this whole part is that Deku decides that Midnight's in love with the villain, and that they should just they went into this huge story about how everything was based on love and all this sparkly stuff.
It's what a magical romance. Deku, like, it's ridiculous because none of the pieces are fitting. They're like, who killed the villain? These three are basically, they all have backstories that are like, couldn't have been me. I was not like, I have no involvement, blah, 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 or I'm just here looking for a jewelry for my loved one. And so like they can't figure it out. And Deku comes up with this crazy, like out of left field and not even like a one sentence assumption. It is a like grand tale of lost love and criminal desire mixed with the wants to go straight, and it's, oh my god, like the whole time it's just like, what is this ridiculous stuff? It's like fanfic. This is Deku's fanfic.
I will tell you though, because like I'm gonna admit to this, that I had to watch the movie in English. That when I watched this episode, because I watched it after the movie, which is not the best way to do it, the Japanese was very jarring at first. When I just jumped back into it. Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, my brain was like, oh no. But I think it's just because
clips of the movie in English, and I gotta tell you, that sounded like a horror show to me. I would not be able to do it. Like,
you got used to it after a while. It was like bad.
It's one of those things, and I hate getting into dub versus sub stuff, but I've been like listening to sub only for like a while. Hey, I gotta share this because that's actually pretty funny. That like I feel like the voice actors that are in the pool that Funimation or any of those studios kind of pull from, and I get why, because but they overact, and I totally get why, because a lot of Japanese inflection is very much like the way they speak is shorter sentences but big reactions, right? So like you kind of have to, if you're trying to match what you're saying to what they're emoting, you do kind of have to like ham it up. But because it's in English, it just sounds like I'm listening to a really bad radio play from like, I don't know, the 40s or something. And it's just, I can't do it anymore. I don't know. But I
think if I had done like listened to it in English before I watched it, I would have been okay. But it almost sounded like they were play acting as these characters. It was not like it wasn't the same reactions for what I needed, except for Mineta. Mineta was awesome. Like his little lisp thing was pretty ridiculous.
That lisp thing that he does is good, but it also makes me fear for him. Like he would never have a chance to kind of fix himself in a way. I don't know. I don't know. Not that like having lisp is like.
And because Dave and Melissa I'd never really heard in Japanese, so I haven't watched the movie in a while. They were fine too. Their voices didn't bother me, but it was like Midoriya's was like nails on a chalkboard. It was awful.
Oh, Justin Reiner, I think is his voice actor's name in English. Anytime I hear him, I'm like, that is just no, thank you. But it all comes down to what you started watching it on. Like if you watch it in English from the beginning and you fell in love with that show, that is what it is. Like. For me, Dragon Ball, like I watched in English when it first came out here in the States, it's like Sean Shammel's Goku, that was Goku's voice. So when Super first came out, it was only available in Japanese, and I'm like, well, I'm going to have to just get used to it. And at first it was jarring for a couple episodes, but then after that I was fine with it. Like it didn't bother me at all. But like I think it's a lot harder to kind of do the opposite switch because of these shows are made in Japan, so like they're animated to react in a Japanese dialect, which is very, the language is very specific.
Yeah.
And it's hard when, the English translation is a sentence long, but they say one word. Like, how do you do that? So it's like, it's weird. But anyway, that was a divergent.
Sorry.
We should not be doing that on this episode.
No. But we get to the conclusion that apparently Deku is right, at least. And then he's like, the villain has stabbed themselves in the act of love or whatever, but they still find out that he stabbed himself, but he's not actually dead. They get 0 points. 0 points. All Might runs off.
Hilariously.
Yeah, ridiculously. And Bakugo is just like, doesn't even know what to do with himself because he didn't like the story to begin with. He was pissed off because they didn't do what he told him to do. And yeah.
There was no love. But like,
Is he-
also at the same time, like I agree with Bakugo and like how ridiculous that story was, and how they should have just figured out the situation without the whole grand love story or whatever. However, I still find him to be at fault for blowing open that window at the beginning
Yes.
and kind of rushing it.
His impatience is part of him.
It is to a
And then
detriment.
we kind of get back to the email, and then we kind of meet two of these characters at the very end, which we'll meet more in the movie.
Yep. This is Melissa Shield. She's a big role.
Mhm.
There's David Shield in the background with like long hair. And All Might. I love young All Might is great. All Might with eyes is awesome. I want an entire movie. And like this was kind of, I think maybe the most we'll get of this, but this
Mhm.
was pretty much like this is All Might's story in a way.
Mhm.
Even though it's called Two Heroes, and those two heroes are not All Might and Deku. It is Deku and Melissa Shield as the two
Mhm.
heroes. But I want an All Might spin-off, like Young Days of All Might, because this was great.
And it's just him reminiscing at the end before he goes, runs and gets Midoriya and tells him he's running away with him to an island right now.
This whole thing with the muttering, like knocking him away, was what I was going to make the title art for this episode. But I'm like, if it's the movie, it should stand out on the feed as the movie. It should be the movie art, whatever.
Mhm.
But like, I really wanted like All Might being overcome by Deku's muttering to kind of be it. Yep. And this is the last part of the
this episode.
So that is our little quick recap of the most ridiculous episode of My Hero. I think, at least. Did you have a favorite part of that story of love?
I think Cementoss's reaction to like All Might's like outfits from when he was younger. It's like everybody's reaction for that kind of stuff. And it's nice to see him kind of just like fanboy a little bit. It's nice to see the teachers doing other things besides running in for like a few seconds to teach too. So
I like that too. However, it did bring to the forefront of my mind a lot of questions about how old is Cementoss, because he said like All Might was his hero when he was a kid. And I'm like, well, okay. So in my mind, All Might's probably like 45, maybe 40 something around there. It's my guess. Just based on, if Melissa is 16, right?
17, I think. Yeah.
Okay. If she's 17 and David Shield is her dad, that would at least kind of give like a 20-year, like he was probably like 24 or something like that when he had her, and then 17. So I was kind of thinking like around the 40s or something. Plus, also we've had how many iterations of All Might to the point where it is Silver Age, Golden Age, Modern Age, all this stuff. So I just want to know how old Cementoss. Like I feel like he's a young teacher, but he doesn't look that way because his cement look makes him seem like kind of like an old sensei in a way. In my mind,
I think he's kind of like Aizawa and them because they're in their 20s, I believe. Aizawa, Midnight, and all of them.
I think they're in the 30s.
Because they just graduated like a little while.
No, they graduated
at least,
while
I don't know. Well, high school, but I think that they have like a little bit, like it's their first or like third year teaching or something to that regard.
Yeah, they're new teachers, but they've all been pro heroes for a long time beforehand. Because I'm just thinking of Vigilantes is like he's been out of school for a while of Vigilantes, and that's like many years before Deku and them go off to UA. So I'm gonna guess. I mean, all the birthdays are out there. I'm sure the years are too. So we could probably like look this up. But if I had to guess, I'd say Aizawa is in his like probably like 30, 31 or something like that. But
that's a good guess. But maybe Cementoss is like 26.
Maybe. Oh, wait. There is a small issue. I'm going to have you cover for a moment.
Okay.
You could just chat because all of the slides for the movie are now out of order.
Uh-oh.
Isn't that great? They were all numbered, so I was like, oh, this will be fine.
No.
I guess my reordering.
No, they should, even if they're numbered, they should be in order because they're taken.
Right. No, they should be showing up in order here, but they very much are not.
Womp womp.
Yep, that's perfect. This is
Yes.
par for the course, guys. I was ready like around 6:15. I had everything done,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, cool. Let me just get back to editing photos and kind of shoot." I never check my work, and that's my problem in life. Everything. Okay, no. So they're in order in the folder. They're out of order in the app that I use to share. So I'm just going to redo that app,
Okay.
and hopefully that'll do it.
We could always do it out of order too. It'd be kind of fun.
What it sounds like a nightmare. I don't know if you and I have the same idea of what fun is. Yeah, it should be fine though.
Mhm.
Also, like a glass of wine in, so
Oh, well, there you go.
This ought to be fun for numerous reasons. Okay, let's see. So far, so good. So far, so good. My dog just snored really loud, and I think we are good to go. So, even though I have a spinning beach ball, okay, no, I'm back. The beginning of this movie is one of my favorite parts of the entire movie. Like the opening, like I watched this opening. I've seen this movie at least 15 times. Like I'm not even exaggerating. I put it on like every couple of weekends while I shoot because it's just like a great background. I'm usually shooting like I do toy photography. This is not related to this podcast isn't, so we should say both Steph and I do toy photography. And I shoot my hero figures a lot, and nothing inspires me more than watching my hero when I'm shooting my hero. So I throw on this movie, and it's funny. I've seen this movie like 10 times more than the second one, and I really should probably watch the second one more. But I love it. But yeah, it starts off with the eagles flying through the air.
Which is like the best part of it. It's it's the best introduction to an American adventure for a hero that you could probably have. Besides, I think they're in Vegas, aren't they? Isn't it somewhere like, or they have a casino? Maybe it's just a casino.
You know what? Because he references Dave's home state of California. Not that they're in California, so I bet they're actually supposed to be in Vegas. That's a good call. Because I mean, it also kind of looks like wherever they are, the city ends at a very stiff line right there. Yeah. So it very could be like the desert, But this is where you start to see like, I've kind of pared stuff down to very specific moments. I loved his cherry blossom plus ultra jacket. This needs to be made as a product, like really nicely, and I will buy it and wear it all the time.
There you go. I will tell you that the villain that they fought during this too, not the big guy, but the guy with like the nose, and the English voice actor was amazing. He was on par, like awesome. Like I highly enjoyed this whole fight sequence because even the English All Might is actually really good.
Well, the English All Might is the same guy who does Vegeta. It's Chris Sabat.
Yeah, and he's really good. He's always been good, but it was enjoyable at least.
He's always been good, but I have a very hard time not hearing him as Vegeta in everything that he does. So, because I mean, he's been Vegeta to me since I was like, I'll say 2 decades. I'm not going to say years or ages.
We're the same, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 decades of hearing that voice on one specific character. So if I hear him on other things, it's like, why is Vegeta talking through All Might's mouth? Like, that's just weird to me. But still, he's a great voice actor. He's actually talking about Sabat for a second. Like, he's actually the reason why My Hero became big here in the States. He's the core person that helped bring it to the States. Like, he does like a lot of producer stuff on anime. So.
I was say I hadn't heard him in anything in a long time, but I don't listen. Like I said, I don't listen to a lot of dub, so it was interesting.
I'm sure he's like just as prevalent as the Japanese All Might voice actor is in things. I've heard him on a bunch of things, but it's funny because like I still find him enjoyable and everything, even though he is very much All Might in my mind. But like when he shows up on like Tower of God as like the alligator guy, I'm like, that's awesome that's All Might's voice coming through an alligator. But it's Sure. I'm sure Sabat does a bunch here in the States.
When we get to it though, Dave's car is like the coolest thing. Like his little electronic stuff that he does on this part, the animation was killer.
Well, there'll be like a shot of the car.
Yeah.
It's just as like an intro to Dave Shield kind of. But this is what's awesome is like we see this is the first time I believe Toshi is wearing one of his super suits because he's wearing clothes. He gets exploded, and that explosion kind of fades away, and all of a sudden he comes out in a super suit. And Dave actually gives him like a good thumbs up and is like, "Hey, it didn't explode. See, you can now actually fight in this. Great."
Which is very awesome because I think later on doesn't what's her face help Deku with the same kind of issue with it blowing up all the time too? Like she helps reinforce it.
Oh, you're talking about what's her name with the pink hair?
Yeah.
Hatsume. I don't know if she helps him reinforce for. Oh yeah, no, that's what the second his beta suit is, which I don't think she designed. That was done outside. Like those, the first time we see that is when Gran Torino asks him to put on his suit, and he takes it out of the case. So we don't really know who kind of like went through that. Although thinking back on it now, the person reading, because Deku's reading the letter that came in the case, right? And the person who wrote it is speaking the letter aloud. And it sounds like it could be Hatsume because they're talking like, we took some liberties, and like they get really excited by it in the way that Hatsume gets excited about stuff. So it very well could be Hatsume. I now need to go back for a third watch, I guess. But so yeah, we have like this whole end beginning thing is basically All Might makes a splash on the screen in America. You know, David Shields like, this is an amazing exchange student from Japan. He's going to be the symbol of peace. Kind of introduces him. Like, you could tell that David Shield has like a big respect for All Might. And as they're driving away, they're trying to go off to some presentation or something like that.
A class, I think. Yeah.
Is it a class?
Yeah, because I think they're in college during this time.
I think they're in college. Oh yeah, no, it totally is like some kind of like lecture or something like that they're supposed to attend. And they're going to get in trouble if they're late again. I remember like that being like the thing that's said. And there's a police report coming over the radio, and All Might is like just stares at David Shield like really intently, which I adored because David Shield's like, all right, we'll go. You just can't not help people, I suppose. And it is like, yes. Just adorable.
I think it's fun when there's other people with All Might too to kind of like watch him because this is him in his prime. So it's actually nice to watch him fight stuff and kind of get mad when the villains ran away too early because he didn't get to show off too much. It's kind of like,
this is like not even in his prime. This is pre-prime. Like this is like still in school in a way. All Might like getting the worldly sense under him in a way, right? Yeah. I want more of this era All Might. It's really endearing, and like that's why I think the beginning of this movie is just so good.
And then we get to the plane of real time when him and Deku are getting to the island, which is the island is like the coolest thing, like as well, because they have all their technology and advances and everything in science for heroes, and they can't leave the island, the scientists, because they have to stay there and make stuff for them. It's like crazy.
That is Island right there. It's just a entire circle of tech floating out in the middle of an ocean. I want to say though, right quickly before we get to Melissa, like I love when they show up, and it's like All Might doesn't, in a way, expect the reaction that he gets because like he comes off, he says like as soon as he gets off, he can't be skinny All Might in public anymore. Like he has to always kind of be on, right? Because like he's always going to be under scrutiny, not scrutiny, but he's going to be under the public eye constantly. So he turns it on. And then as soon as like they get off the plane, and as soon as one person sees him and yells, "It's All Might," the entire like island swarms them, and you see like Deku get kind of crushed in a way.
Yeah,
and it's a great thing because it's like we don't get to see the outside world react to viewing All Might that often. Because I feel like Japan is used to seeing All Might. He's there, right?
Yeah,
he's like their hero. But this is like a world event, and the world is like, holy crap, it is the Superman of our world is here. And he's just standing around.
Hanging
Let's go
out.
Get him for autographs, pictures, and selfies.
Trapped on an island.
There's nowhere for you to go, All Might. You're stuck with us. And so, All Might then says to Deku that they're waiting for his old friend. And then comes this girl bouncing down on some crazy kind of pogo stick.
Yeah, which is the coolest thing.
It's all
And
fold out
Deku,
pogo stick.
yeah, and Deku like freaks out because he thinks this is All Might's old friend. Because I remember he was like, "How old is this person when they
Yeah.
met All Might?"
Like, what is All Might's relationship with this young girl? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he was like 2 seconds away to going to some very like, again, fanfic about love situations in his mind.
That or like lost child syndrome, like Todoroki does.
Good call there, actually.
And then this part was like, because he introduces him, Deku as one of his students, and she has an admiration for heroes because she loves All Might and wants to be able to be of use and be helpful. And this reminds me of Hatsune too, like how they like circle him, like he's like prey, basically, like I'm gonna put tech on you. So it was
I feel like that might just be a thing that engineers kind of do, right? Like they instantly go into work mode in their mind where they're like, all right, I see you have a suit. Let me see if I could deduce what your power set is, how you use it, all that stuff kind of by your hero suit and your appearance and whatnot. So she's kind of like, she's sizing him up for like possible upgrades and things like that.
But she also notices that he's like injured and like hurt, so his powers must not be working right for him, and that maybe she can help him.
Well, she sees the scars, and I think that it's a little bit later when she realizes that he's personally like regulating his powers in a way, and that coupled with these scars kind of like put the puzzle pieces together in her mind. But like, she definitely like notices that there's a strain happening somewhere, or that he's been through something. But it is a cute little interaction between these two.
I like her a lot. Like she's probably like one of the cooler female characters. I know she's probably, I don't remember her being in the manga actually. I think this is just like an offshoot thing, but she's actually really, really neat. So
she's not canon in terms of the manga story. However, I know Horikoshi helped out a lot with this movie, and I feel like he really should have written her in because she gives Deku something on his costume in this movie that we'll get to that is such a massive like boon to his being able to use his ability that if she is like kind of built into the story a little bit more and like the main manga, it would be great to kind of see her pop out again and like kind of help Deku a little bit later on. Like I think before the manga ends, I would love to see Melissa Shield or even David Shield kind of like pop up again at some point.
Be very cool.
I love also when we meet David Shield, like he's still reminiscing about All Might because it does seem like everything he does is centered around his time with All Might back in the day.
And I like that All Might picks him up and spins him around like he did Melissa. Like it wasn't not like it's just his reaction to seeing them. It's very, very childlike. It's actually really cute. And I love that Deku knew who he was too, because he's
such a fanboy.
It was just like he knew all of his accomplishments and everything to that. So
it's funny too the way when he first reacts, he just like because I cut out all the screens, sorry, of like all the costumes, but he goes through like the fact that like David Shield is the designer of All Might's suits through the ages, like including the modern age suit that he's wearing right now. But like he's like Silver Ajo, Gold Ajo, Bronze Ajo, and I love how he gets increasingly excited with each suit that he like announces to the point where he's just like, and I think he jumps closer, and he's like hopping closer. Like I don't know, it's like when you meet your hero for the first time, you're just like, oh my god, you do everything I love. I love it. Please let me know you or something.
It's really cute.
I had to keep this just because I love that Godzilla is.
This was the most exciting. Like when I saw this, I forgot about it, and then I saw it again. I was like, "Oh my god!" And I think he like winks at them later on too. That there's a Godzilla hero. He doesn't even change his name. They just like left it.
It's slightly different. It is slightly different somehow. I forget exactly what the name of the Godzilla hero is, but it's like not Godzilla. It's like I don't know, something Zilla. I forget what it is, but it's like it is really funny because it's totally Godzilla, but he's wearing an Elvis jacket. I don't know. It's hilarious, and everybody's
like how they flew him out too, just for the event because they have this big expo going on.
But he's not going to fit in anything. Like, look, he's bigger than all the buildings.
I don't know. And then you kind of go through Melissa's showing them around because I believe Dave and All Might needed time to like talk and hang out, and he realized All Might was gonna expire for his powers. But she's like showing poor Deku all this technology that his mind cannot handle all the stuff that's going on. His reactions to everything was just hilarious.
It's funny because it went from like being really excited of seeing all this tech to all of a sudden be like, okay, some of it's a little too much, like overload. A lot of this movie does deal with the fact that, you know, All Might's problem at this point in time is like he's losing One for All at a dramatic, you know, pace because he passed it on to Deku. All Might knows why. David Shield, however, does not. But like he does know All Might's issue. So we kind of see All Might struggle in the beginning, like he's kind of coughing a little bit and whatnot. And yeah, as you said, David Shield kind of like picks up on that and is like, okay, you kids go explore the venues, enjoy. And I think it's important to note that like on this island, everybody can use their powers whenever they want and wear their hero suit, which is like in Japan, you can't. You have to have like a provisional license, which at this point in time, Deku does not have. This takes place before the end of the third season. So like these kids, you know, are here and they're getting to be their like best selves. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you go on summer vacation with like your school or something like that. Like you go on vacation, you get to kind of like hang out with your friends, but in a whole new environment without parental supervision in a way. It's like that whole level of excitement. And there's something similar about that.
Yeah. So we get to news that the other kids are also on the island, and this interaction was hilarious.
The way how we learn the kids are also on this island is the best way possible. Because like Deku's having this moment with Melissa, and all of a sudden you just hear Ochako's voice being like, "Looks like you're having fun, Deku." And he's like, "Oh, Ochako," it's like, "Looks like you're having fun."
He even says that you're saying that again. Like it's like okay. And then they all fall in love with her too, which is adorable because they're like, "Oh, she's great." And
well, she also was like, "Oh yeah, he's here with Uncle Might," and Deku like jumps on her and be like, "You cannot reveal that I'm here with All Might, please do not."
It's just crazy. And then like you find out each of the kids are there for like different reasons. Like obviously Momo probably had tickets to everything because it's a rich thing. And so one of my favorite one of my favorite parts was like they all had a Rochambeau who was going to get these specialty tickets.
I think I have that.
Yeah. Oh my god. I like how Froppy's just like, okay, I lost, and then like obviously Tori was like, oh no, but she had to hold up a sign too.
That's my favorite part about it. It's the signs for each one.
Like, how do you not know what she's gonna pick? Like
you rotate the sign around until you
oh my god,
flip it back.
Yeah. And then there's other people on the island because I believe Bakugo's there because he won, right? And then he got to bring Kirishima with him.
When he won the sports festival, he got a ticket and I guess a +1. So yeah, he brings Kirishima, which what happens basically is like they're kind of sitting around, you know, Deku is trying to get Melissa not to talk about the fact that they're there with All Might. And like, please do not bring that up. Can we deflect or something like that? And Melissa Shield is like, hey, do you guys want to go get like some tea or like sweets or something like that? Like you want to go check out this place. And so like she works it out. And Deku's on the side is like, whew, thank God that worked. They don't seem to like care anymore why I'm here. And then there's an explosion in the distance. And we get like, you know, you get that classic My Hero things are kind of going up music. And I love his entrance. It's just like the smoke clears and it's Kirishima like all armored up.
Oh, we forgot about Mineta and Kaminari are waitering at the cafe.
I have those screens, but I guess I must have cut them too. But yeah, we see them first. And also Ida, right? Or no?
Ida's running around, because I think
with them.
Yeah, because he's there for his family. His family's famous too, and they invited them because
some of these kids, they're famous.
Like the same thing I think with Todoroki later when he shows up is because Endeavor got invited and then he went for him.
That one, so Todoroki and Tenya make the most sense because they're like, you know, Tenya is like third generation hero. Todoroki, his dad is the number one hero or the number 2 hero, soon to be number one hero in the world. Like, so, or I guess at least in Japan. So yeah, it's clear that he would be invited too, or at least the Todoroki family would be given complimentary tickets.
Yeah. And then you have Bakugo. They're having some kind of like it's like a competition timed how fast you can kill robots and going up a mountain. I think is all that it is. It's like an evil villain charge. And so Bakugo gets faster than Kirishima, which is unfair because Kirishima just has like his hands. He has to do as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's running on normal legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the fact that he had an outstanding time amongst all the participants on the island until Bakugo, Deku, and soon Shoto show up. And yeah, those guys are all ridiculous on a whole different degree. But I was actually really proud of Kirishima for getting such a high time.
And then obviously Baku is mad that Deku's on the island with him. So there's just like a little bit of exchange between all the students and they're fighting. And Melissa's kind of getting to know the class for all of who they are and how they react. And she thinks they're all wonderful. Even Bakugo and his craziness is wonderful.
Yep. So yeah, basically Bakugo challenges Deku to, or does he not, he's like, you better not like challenge my time or something like that. And Ochako's like, well, you won't know if you can beat it unless you try. And he kind of says the same, like, oh yeah, you're probably right. To like both of them, like I shouldn't do it. And then she says that, and like, oh yeah, you're probably right. And he's kind of stuck doing it. So he jumps in, and he has it's cool getting to see at this time. This is around about the time, like right after he learns full cowling. So he's only using 5%, and he's dashing up the mountainside, bashing through villains. We get to watch his entire set. Like, yeah, it's really cool. A cool visual. Great animation in this movie.
Oh, ridiculously great, especially later on too. And I think this is when she starts like actually watching him like move and work, and she notices some things that I believe like her mind from watching All Might probably work from her younger years. She's seeing similarities to it too. She
says, I believe he has an explosive power like Uncle Might.
This is cheating, by the way. I still think it's cheating.
That's his power. It's however you do it. It's his power. He can just stand there, freeze the entire mountain, boom. I'm surprised
it took 14 seconds. Better. Yeah.
Like, honestly, his time should have been like 0.4 seconds or something like that, however long it takes for the ice to freeze the mountainside.
And we kind of go back to this part was really cute, though, for Dave analyzing, now giving an analysis of All Might.
Like
analyzing.
Analyzing All Might.
Yeah, and like finding out that his quirk is slowly depleting, which we all know by this point, but Dave has no idea why.
It was slowly depleting until I think that chart shows like 3 months ago or something like that, when all of a sudden it's like a steep decline because that top mark is like the day he gives Deku his power. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, because all of his power went into some other kid. And so all of a sudden it's like spikes downward. And yeah, All Might knows all this like already, and he's fine with it. But poor Dave. Dave is stressed and worried about him.
That he's also worried about what All Might his mission and his being the symbol of peace. And I really think that his friend believes in that as much as like other people in his life. It's a new word. But this whole part was very endearing. I think is one of the better like storylines for getting to know All Might as a whole, is kind of learning about his relationship with other people and how his dream kind of flows out to everybody else.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit more of that in season 4, which will be starting in like a couple of weeks. But like it's great to kind of get like a little taste of that with his technically first sidekick, David Shield, because we in the beginning of the movie we saw him as like All Might's the hero, David Shield the tech guy helping him out,
the guy in the chair or the car, whatever you want to call
definitely it. The guy in the chair in the car.
Yeah. So now there's a party. Of course there's a party on the island. They have to have like prom time basically. And Bakugo didn't bring clothes, so Kirishima knew that he wasn't going to bring clothes because he never wants to participate in anything. So he brought him his own, which is funny. But it's like,
if you take a step back from this scene for a moment, and you think about the fact that they're all able to bring their hero costumes to the island, so when we learned that, you're like, oh, cool. So that's how they're going to be able to wear their hero costumes throughout the big climactic part of this movie, right? So they look like the characters they should look like, so they can sell toys, blah, 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 blah. But no, this entire movie now takes place with everybody in their evening dress. And it's great because, like, yeah, we get people in like suits and ties, and like Ida's pants are half torn so his engines can blast out through the bottom. Like, I kind of love the fact that they built in a great excuse for them to have their suits, but they quickly took that away to kind of give them something unique. And I actually kind of love that about this. So we do see like Bakugo fighting in this vest and red shirt through the rest of the movie.
And look at it's like roses on it and stuff. It's like so gaudy. It's not.
It is Ed Hardy as fuck, and that is exactly what I imagine Kirishima's style to be. Like, too much. Kirishima shows up like ready for a party. He's wearing way too much cologne. Like, you know that. Like, that is Kirishima, right? Way too much product in his hair. Way too strong with cologne to the point where if like he leaves an elevator, that elevator smells like that for like a week. That is Kirishima. And you know what's funny is I feel like Bakugo, if he cared a little bit more, he would be in the same way. But I think Bakugo is just like a little bit more apathetic in general, to the point where he just doesn't care. So I feel like that, though that vest is loud and ridiculous and very much Kirishima, it kind of fits Bakugo to the point where I don't think Bakugo minds wearing it whatsoever.
No. And it's funny that he even got him in it to go to this party. Like, Bakugo, like, that's how much power Kirishima has over this other person. It makes
their
me laugh.
bromance is one of the best things of this entire series. Like, I love them as friends. They're great. I also love, that Kirishima, Mr. Red Hair, like, you see him holding up those two, you think Kirishima is going to be wearing the red shirt with the crazy flowery.
Yeah, Bakugo being black, but no.
I ended up doing a crazy split image for this because I wanted to have this. I was like, this is great. Where it's like, this is All Might leaving David's shield. And I'm like, oh, well, he should be like, and he just pops into, all right, well, I got to be strong again. I'll see you later.
Yeah. You'd think that he would have time for a break too, but no. He's going to go straight to the party looking like that.
He got a little bit of a break hanging out with David's shield.
Yeah.
You know, he got to be depowered for a bit. Thank God.
And analyzed.
He was analyzed.
And then we kind of get like a little more background on them, and which I really liked that we got to see more interactions when he was younger, because like you'd want to see how their friendship actually relates because you don't know anything about the character.
Yeah, this is actually the day they first met, which is awesome. That like something I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is like the lab that David is in school in. Someone blew something up in the lab or something like that because, hey, it's a science lab. Things, I guess, explode. At least in anime, things always explode in science labs.
Yeah.
And luckily, transfer student Toshinori was there to kind of save the day. And he kind of got everybody out. He saved David's shield. He saved a whole bunch of people. And as he's meeting David, his tank top falls off. Like, it just falls apart because, it was in a fire.
Yeah.
And we see David helps him out with like, hey, this is great polymer tech that we're working on. Yada, yada. So we see how their relationship began in a way.
And it's like a mutual thing for him because he basically is testing out David's stuff and then he gets to, have new tech. And then he's saving the world over there and then David's helping him.
Yep. This is exactly the same scene we got in the preview episode. Again, I just love All Might with eyes. It's great.
I think what's coming out, we still have them all thinking. He's reminiscing about it again because he's looking at pictures on his phone of like old fight scenes and kind of stuff like that.
I think it's the same photo that he keeps looking at, which is All Might dashing through the sky like this, which is actually very important later on in the movie because he sees Deku in that same pose, and it allows him to kind of like connect the tissue, like this is the next generation in a way. But it's like he constantly is always looking at that, like, I think for all of us, for like we have our heroes and whatnot, and for all of us, we have an image in our mind, right? Of like that, this is that pristine image of that person. And for David, it's that one image of, he probably looked up and saw, All Might dashing through the sky and caught a quick pick. And like, that's what he turns to all the time as his inspiration.
Yeah. And then for getting ready for the party, I think Melissa wanted to show him some kind of something. And so they're in there talking and kind of reminiscing about her being quirkless, what she's doing there, and kind of wanting to be a scientist versus a hero, and so that she can create things to help heroes be better. And so Deku's kind of hearing all this from a good part of him, because he was quirkless, and understanding where she's coming from. And I think this whole like conversation is something that he really needed, like in the show, is another quirkless person talking to him and having other options.
There's a big problem though with like, have you ever had that secret that you're not allowed to talk about, but yet like the perfect opportunity comes up and you're just like, I just want to, like, I could finally talk to somebody else who has been through my struggle or my pain, but he can't. And like, I actually felt really bad for Deku during this scene, because Melissa, again, she says that she's quirkless. And we get a flashback. We get a lot of flashbacks in this movie because, you got to take into account, this is also for people who maybe haven't seen the series kind of thing. We get the flashback to when Deku learns that he's quirkless, but he can't tell Melissa that I was that way too. Like, I'm just like you until 3-4 months ago, or actually like 10 months ago, really. Oh no, actually he's only had the power for a while, but he started training a long time ago. But yeah, it's like I felt real bad for him, because like this is like the one time there's another kid who is working to become a hero despite the fact that they were given the card of no quirk, and how they managed to do it, and he can't vocalize his relatability to it. And I don't know, it made me very sad for Deku during this, but they kind of are able to kind of talk their way through it in a way.
Yeah, I liked the interaction, because it gave them a level playing field of like understanding between the two of them, because their teamwork is like crazy great through the entire movie. So it was like
I guess it's more the thing that I wish she knew, that Deku knew where she was coming from. He knows her problem, or the thing that she worked through. She has oh my god, like, talk about good mental health. This girl's got it, because like, she went through the whole quirkless thing. She struggled with it for a bit, but she had her dad, who was like the perfect example of, I'm quirkless in this quirk-filled society, but I'm becoming a hero in my best way possible, right? And I think that helped her out like a lot. And like, it would have been, I don't know. I feel like I want to be the third person in the room to be like, he's quirkless too. Like, I want to like Ned from Spider-Man to kind of like just expose the secret, but he can't.
And she gives him like her invention, basically. What does she call it? The
full gauntlet.
Full gauntlet. Yeah.
The coolest. It's the perfect My Hero cool name. I love it. I want a full gauntlet Deku figure, because it's a cool looking gauntlet.
It is. It's very, very, like how he's like, oh, it's a bracelet or something like that at first, and then it like wraps around his arm. So
it could sustain the power of All Might's punches for 3 times, which is an interesting thing. So like, she said that he could use his full power with it. I'm like, yeah, but if he uses his full power, it can only work 3 times. Yeah. But if you use like, it made me think about it like as having a health bar. A lot of video games have degraded weapons and whatnot. And I'm like, so if he uses his power at 50%, he could use it 6 times. If he uses it at 20%, I'm like in my head trying to think about all that math. But I really think it is like more like it would kind of hold up forever unless you're using 100%, and then it will only last 3.
She's
right?
she's assuming that he doesn't have the same strength as All Might, but is close.
Yeah.
In her mind.
However, he has exactly the same strength as All Might.
Yeah.
It does look like a fruit roll-up, James, but a powerful one, and I
There
like
you
it.
go.
I also love the fact I always love tech that grows out of a central point and wraps around stuff, and it has a really cool effect of it like exploding out of that like wrist piece and wrapping around his wrist.
Well, it means that anybody can use it too. It'll just sync to them, so it's pretty cool.
It's like a memory fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, at this point, they're having a moment. This is also another funny like anime moment where it's like they're having it like it seems like it took place 5 minutes after they left everybody else, and they're supposed to meet up with the rest of the class, and yet Deku gets a phone call from Ida being like, "Where the hell are you? You guys are late."
Mm-hmm. And Deku's suit looks like the suit that he bought when he was out undercover for like the mafia people.
It is All Might's suit, but in brown.
Yeah.
It is All Might's yellow suit, but just darker. It is really funny that he has just as much lack of taste as All Might does.
I think they're wearing their waiter uniforms. Speaking of lack of taste.
They are. And I also love that Shoto's rocking white because, why not?
Yeah, with a red tie.
He knows his brand.
Oh. The girls are all cute.
Yeah.
I like that Momo brought them outfits because she's like, no, we're going to dress you up.
I feel like Jiro's was hers. Momo only brought Ochako one, right?
Oh, maybe. She said she hadn't wore it before, so I assumed it was.
I feel like, I don't know why. I like that outfit just screams Jiro to me. Like like if Jiro had an outfit, it would be like that dress outfit. We don't even get too far into the weeds about talking about I love Jiro, but anyway, I love how Ochako shows up and Deku pays her a compliment. She's like, stop.
Yeah. And Ida again has to like intercede, be like, Ochako, calm down. And obviously Melissa comes and she's got the right clothes and everything. She's pretty. And
she lives there. This is her island, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm making an event, as Mineta says.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Jiro. I don't know what it is, but Jiro. We always have to see Jiro's reacting whenever Mineta is talking about other girls, and she's always like, "Why don't you talk about me that way?"
Oh, I didn't know there was a bird behind him.
It's like hawks, but actual hawk. That bird is ridiculous. And there's like a person wearing like a freaking toga in the foreground. Like, what is going on?
It's a random party. And then they're making him talk. They're like, oh, come up to the stage and you can make a speech. And he's like, why didn't you tell me about this?
Yeah. He's like, well, you knew it had to happen. Once they found out you were on the island, you're going to have to make a speech. I feel like if you're All Might, you kind of have to have just like canned speeches in your mind at all times.
Mm-hmm. And then Ida's mad because they can't get a hold of the other two. And there was for obvious reasons. Kirishima left his phone, and then Bakugo doesn't know where they're going either. So
they're just wandering. Like, they wind up in the most ridiculous place for like looking for the party. Because we'll get to that. But
yeah, and then we kind of find out the other kids are here, but they're out doing normal things, not at a reception. So it was like, okay.
Well, this is also right when you can tell on that TV screen in the background. This is right after the emergency systems start to lock down because the villains have entered the fray. So we do see that all the kids are here. Like, here's the girls.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we're kind of getting shots of them, we had heard that they were all there, but we're getting shots of them because they're reacting to the fact that the entire island is, for some odd reason at this point, all going down on lockdown. And we don't know why until Magneto enters the fray.
I was going to say, this metal dude. Yeah.
I think he has a cool look. I really like his look. It's just funny that they're like, let's just make Magneto.
It makes for cool fight sequences. Let's put it that way.
James, not that toga. Actual toga. Actual toga. Not Himiko toga.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so they put out some kind of message that there's a bomb in the city, which sets off the emergency system, which is what I think is like going on. Dr. Doom. That's what his face mask does look like.
Totally does. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. These are neat though, that they just like wrap people up like it's like because there is a bunch of humans, a bunch of scientists, so they need stuff that's going to stop like villains or heroes in their tracks. So it was kind of neat to see all the specialty equipment, like the robots and stuff later too.
The robots. I like that this tape specifically is made for everybody in a way where it's like the harder you resist, the stronger it'll get. So if you have All Might's strength, it can react in kind. Like, it's like, hey, we'll just get you could be a grandma and we'll be just strong enough to contain that grandma. But if that grandma has super strength, hey, we'll adjust for that too. Like, we will keep her contained. Super grandma.
Super grandma. This was super cool. Like, I was like, because he's flashing the lights at him, and I thought he was going to talk to him. I'm like, how are you going to talk to him down there? But then he was telling him because Jiro can hear him through the floor.
Jiro can hear him, but this movie has some of the greatest displays of telepathy I've ever seen. A lot of things are said just between looks throughout this entire movie. Not just All Might and Midoriya, but Midoriya and Melissa have like this weird telepathy exchange later on too. It's just like, hey, if I look at you a certain way, you'll get full sentences from this. And like, that's exactly what is happening right here. Well, not really, because, we don't even know. Jiro just says, this is bad to Deku. Deku does not know the situation at this point. So I'm going to assume that Jiro explains everything to all the kids, so they all kind of understand. And the kids kind of get together. Ida does the thing that Ida does, where he's like, if things start to get bad, I'll turn us back around and we will go home, kind of thing.
I
but
think
otherwise, they all go fine.
Yeah. Because I think him and Momo have that talk to them again. Is this before they go save Bakugo?
This is after. No, before. Sorry. They don't save Bakugo.
They get him out of there. Get
him out of where?
The fight with One For All.
Oh, you're talking about in the timeline of like the greater thing. I think this is before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, because it's like, seems like the same dialogue when they start talking about it.
So
I'm like, oh, okay.
This is the thing with non-canon movies. And I understand why. And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm really excited for the Demon Slayer movie, because it is supposed to be like a season 2 in a way, and season 2 is actually technically a season 3. Is the non-canon movies like this one? It's like they kind of have to pull from what they know the characters are going to do, what they're going to say, and half the time it is something that we've kind of seen later on, right? And so they kind of just like work that in. And I feel like Ida and Momo and everybody's kind of reaction here, this is exactly the same conversation of outside the hospital of like when they want to go save Bakugo. Is that whole thing rehashed, but condensed in a way, and everybody's way more easy to kind of go along with it. And I do love the fact that like Ida's like, as soon as we hit resistance, we're turning back around. They hit resistance within like floor 3, and they just still keep going.
And running up 200 flights of stairs is ridiculous. But
yes, truth.
Especially when Ida can run up them.
Yep. And Ochako could just hover herself or hover all of them up there.
Yeah. It's just like, but
this is telepathy moment 1.
Yeah.
This is where Deku tells All Might
that he's gonna go save them.
We're gonna go save them. It'll be fine. We got this covered. Just hang out there. We're gonna go turn off the machines that are keeping you trapped. All that is said with his eyes.
Dan made an appearance.
A wild articulator has appeared. Yes, Dan, I got a haircut. Hello.
So all this is happening. Is the villains at the very top, right? That's how this is going.
Yeah. No, it's not the villains are at the top. The control room to shut down all the robots, locking down the entire island, as well as the things that are locking up the heroes in the reception. That's at the top.
That was their main objective, was to go turn all that off.
That is the kids' objective, is to turn that off. What they think the villains are all in that room with All Might.
Mm-hmm.
But we learn that
They are not.
they're not.
There's all kinds of crazy bad guys, like sword arms here.
And I forget how they set something off. The kid says something off.
Opens a door because he's dumb.
That's right. Yep. And so they know that they're there, so they start to kind of block their way.
Mm-hmm.
But I love, hey, they got Todoroki. Todoroki can stop doors.
Yeah, that was quick too. And Christy's out there too.
Hi, Christy. You guys are driving home from Asheville. Well, thank you for joining us on your drive.
Yeah.
Glad you guys are here.
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad for James being the only person in the chat. I was like, I wish I could kind of like invite him into the show from the chat. Like, just come into the show.
There you go. So we get like a bunch of things. They're trying to get through because they're closing them in to try to funnel them into this room.
Yes.
Because they're going to try to catch them because the kids are running around, running amok. And so it's like Scooby-Doo. The villains are like, we have to stop them from causing trouble.
So they get them there pretty much. They get them to that weird
This is when he blows his pants off, though.
The second he uses his ability, his pants are just toast. Look at those gams. Just look at them.
So we get these two random other guys, which we don't know anything about them. And then the kids are hiding because they're trying to stay away from villains and they're trying to do a secret mission. And so they think that they hear them. They're like, hey, what are you guys doing? And it's not them. It's obviously the other two that are lost.
These two who no one expected to be on I feel like they're on the 80th floor at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the party is on like the first floor.
Yeah.
So, like, they're like, I swear they say that, hey, we're looking for this reception. We have tickets to this party. And the villains think that they're joking. Meanwhile, the kids hiding behind a bush were like, how the hell did you wind up on the 80th floor looking for this party that's on the first floor of all places?
Mm-hmm. And then...
no, James, the answer is no. I'm not putting that on the show, but the answer is no.
Okay. And I think at this point they're trying to figure out how to get up higher and get past these guys at the same time. So Todoroki decides to stay with Bakugo and Kirishima to fight them, and then the kids take off on like a ice pillar to up to the ceiling.
Todoroki basically elevates them to the sky. Ice pillar, yeah.
And we kind of see these really cool powers, which one guy makes circles and stuff disappear, and the other guy is the Hulk.
Hollows out. I still don't understand how it works, but he hollows out space.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way how Shoto explains it, he's like, oh, he's not pushing air, he's hollowing out the air. And Bakugo's like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, cool, I got it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how do you I've watched this movie 1,000 times and I still don't understand what that is.
I watched it because I watched it in English. He's displacing items. So he takes something from somewhere else and puts it over there in round chunks. So if you pull so if he hits the ice, he makes a chunk and it makes it go away, but it's not disappearing. It's being shed off somewhere else.
When those ice balls kind of roll off to the side, that's not like him scooping air and then it dropping. That's him like scooping air and then just popping out somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like Nightcrawler without the vamping.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay.
But as nerdy as I can be.
Thank you. No, I needed that. I don't think talking about Nightcrawler is nerdy at all.
No. The Purple Hulk and then the wannabe like circle guy. But at this point, I think they're up on top and they're trying to figure out who's going to crawl in this little tiny vent and then go on the outside of the building and be able to still climb up even higher with no holds.
They need to open a door and there's only a vent that allows the person to get to the door. But the problem is that vent leads to outside this tower. And whoever goes out there is going to have to scale a tower, which this is like the perfect scenario for one person and one person alone. And it is Mineta. And how do you get Mineta to climb this tower? Why, you promise him a harem of girls. So he climbs the tower chanting harem, harem, harem. And I saw this movie in the movie theater when it came out. And everybody was cackling when this was happening. Like Mineta climbing the tower, going harem, 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 and then all of a sudden like going brain dead for a second because he keeps pulling out too many balls too quickly, and so he's like, stop, and then you go harem, 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 and then it happened again. It's like harem, harem, harem. It was funny.
He's so happy because Melissa tells him he's amazing.
Yep.
I think this is the whole point, was like she thanks him for being so great and that he's a hero.
I love how easily pleased he is because he's promised a harem, and all it takes is Melissa to say that he did a good job.
And then he's like, all right, let's keep going.
What?
He's like, yep, and let's keep going. He gets super excited.
Oh, he gets everybody kind of built up, but I love it because it's like, you think that he's so perverted and he's only going to be satisfied with, unfortunately, one thing. But all it really takes is someone to, a girl to tell him that he did a good job. And you learn that actually there's a little bit of innocence in Mineta that we don't get to see that often. It's like, that's it. Just pay attention to him and he probably won't be as terrible as he normally is. Yes. Mineta is a simp. That is exactly what the kids call a simp. Next slide.
Next slide.
Off the sim conversation.
Oh, I wish I could have got this in like actual format when she like smacks the cameras.
What is?
There you go.
Oh, okay. So this is your screen from your iPad or your computer. I was like, what is actually happening? I didn't
let it go because I was trying to go really quickly.
Gotcha. I was like, what's all this text? I thought it was on my computer. And I'm like, nope.
No.
We jump back to the kids fighting the Hulk and the Bird Boy. I call them. All right. So there's this moment in this fight where Bakugo is standing there, and I think it's Shoto is like yells jump or something like that. And all of a sudden, like there's like the weird bird noise or something. And I was like, whoa, Bakugo made the craziest fucking noise. And he blows himself up into the sky. And it wasn't until like the third or fourth rewatch of this movie that I was like, that's not Bakugo making the noise. That's the bird guy making this weird bird cry as he's like throwing scooped air or something like that at him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's just such a weird character anyways. It's an odd design. He's got like webbed fingers and everything too.
It's so
he can help with the scooping. Yeah.
That's for the scooping action. But I do like, again, the animation in this entire movie is phenomenal to the point where like the stylization of him running, and I definitely want to keep this screen in here because like you kind of caught like this perfect like split second of speed motion where it kind of looks like a blob, but when you're watching this play out, it really does look like he's kind of flying through. Yes, Dan, that is exactly what that was. That weird like or whatever when Bakugo blows up to the air is this guy. That's the noises. Anytime you see him scoop stuff from the air, he makes that noise. And I didn't pick up on that until like numerous rewatches.
All right. I think Bakugo beats him, and then Todoroki beats No, they both beat both of them.
No, just Bakugo beats the Hulk guy. He does the howitzer impact.
But then the air displacer takes a piece of his sweat in his hands, which Todoroki quickly ignites and then blows the other guy up.
Yep. That's exactly what happens.
Yep.
And then Todoroki freezes him up so he can't recover or anything like that.
Yeah. But it was great teamwork. It was quick too. Like
all the time though, and it's funny that Dan's like, I love this Todoroki Shoto Kirishima team up. And I'm like, yeah, I would have loved if Kirishima also teamed up with them. But instead, he was stuck in a wall this whole time because he didn't turn off his quirk so he could get out of the wall. That was it. All he had to do was turn off his quirk and he would have been able to get out of that wall.
I don't know. I can't. No words for that. This guy too. I don't know what he is, but he's got the coolest mask.
That's the coolest mask?
It's pretty cool.
Steph. Just like
there's a lot of going back and forth too, because they were trying to figure out where these kids are coming from and everything else. And so I think this is when they call him the robots. And so they start up everything.
They call them like these kids are not ordinary kids or something like that. Like they
find out they're the MHA guys. Yeah.
I think they call them reserves, hero reserves. because they're heroes in training. And All Might is having a real tough time because if you think about it, this whole time he's already way past like his expiration of his muscle form. And the sad thing is if he expunges his muscle form while he's in this trap, it's just going to capture him like it would capture an old lady, and he wouldn't be able to like blow up anymore.
It's the ultimate like All Might little trap.
Yep.
So I think that after this is just a bunch of sequences of the kids getting through different layers of the robots and everything like that. This is sorry.
Throwing a stun grenade. What's wrong with the stun grenade toss?
Oh my gosh. I don't know why they had to spin him fast. They just had to throw.
Well, that spinning really fast helps with the throw, the distance. Yeah, you got to wind them up. And he makes himself dumb instantly.
Yeah, and then it still didn't do anything. So then Momo has to create some kind of like stun grenade things that like blow up and then like make.
Well, no, she creates chaff grenades.
Yeah,
which are EMP pretty much. So.
Oh, okay. They were handy, and then all the girls started throwing them. And this is Midoriya taking out half of them.
Dude, Dan, All Might calls them zygotes all the time. Like, that is his main phrase since the beginning of this series. He calls them zygotes. So, yes, he calls them zygotes. I don't know if you're talking about a specific moment where he calls them zygotes. What?
Because I think it's when they do the hero course why Aizawa calls them like chicks after that, because they actually keep, like, it goes to the nenext stage in their metaphor.
But yeah, All Might loves to call them zygotes. I love that about him. Like, dude, what? Why are you calling them zygotes? Yeah, seriously, Dan, I'd say go back and rewatch, but that's exactly what we've been doing. But yeah, he calls them zygotes like 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time we get to see Deku using his full gauntlet, knock away like all these robots and whatnot. He gets really excited by it. I really liked this kind of like impact scene where he like knocks all the robots away.
Yeah. And then you kind of like, they're going to have to separate again because there's more robots coming. And so
I think what she's explaining right now is like they can't, in this particular room that they're in.
Oh, that's right. The servers.
Yeah. They can't like unleash their full power because this is the server room. If they destroy this room, it might like leave all of the robots in action forever kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like this is like the mainframe of the building.
Which Momo has the coolest idea ever, which is like a soft ammo, which is like the coolest thing. Because when she pulled out the cannon, I was like, did you not hear anything that she just said? And obviously Ida's going to be super cool with his taking them out one by one with close range.
He's awesome in this.
Yeah. And
but again, like this is the moment where like they're fighting all these robots. You would think Ida, the second we encounter issues, we're going to go back. They seem to just be going. I mean, Ida's the one who's fighting right now. Like, what?
I just don't know what else they're going to do. So it's like...
But this is where all the kids are pretty much hitting their limit.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we see Maneda's scalp is bleeding. Not Karishma. Kaminari is already in dumb state. Momo is exhausted with her cannon. Everybody's having a tough time.
Yeah, Ida's like his little bursters are like foaming or whatever they do when they get all overheated. So, this whole part though,
that these kids continue.
Yes, I like that Melissa thought to bring her because she knew where they were going. Like she knew that they were going to this room, and this was probably going to be something that they needed her help for.
Yeah. So, like Ochako's power is super helpful. Like, oh hey, I can just make anyone float at any time, and especially when you're trying to get to the top of I forget how many stories it is, but it's a ridiculously tall building. So
yeah,
they should just went on the outside and just had her use her powers the whole time.
Well, maybe she wouldn't have to do it to herself. Oh my goodness!
Wait, why does she need to back the fuck off? I want to know. Is this a protect Ochako situation?
I guess. Oh my goodness.
Dan has feelings. But Ochako, after she sends them up, because there's the room that they need to get to is at the top of this like weird like mushroom towery thing. And so she sends them kind of like going straight up. But these robots come out, and I forget how they get knocked off course, because Deku and Melissa get knocked off course. And
it's the turbines turn on, the wind things for
is
some
that
reason.
What it is? Is the turbine?
Yeah, and I don't know if the bad guys do it or what happens, but like this part was like I was a little nervous because I forgot that she has to like turn her power off to turn it back on again to fight. And so she said they're like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do here in this point in time before the three amigos show up. So and get everything done.
That makes me wonder about her powers though, because why can't, if she's making them float, why can't she just touch more to make them float? Because when she's fighting Bakugo during the tournament, she's slowly picking up debris the entire time, right? So like if she's slowly picking up debris the entire time during that tournament fight, can't she continually use her power to make things float?
I had the same thought because she puts layers of gravel up during the tournament. Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay, I understand. I get this, Christy and Dan. Like, I completely agree with you. Ochako and Deku supposed to be together. However, I don't, maybe because I've seen this movie so often, I don't see Melissa as like this strange outsider girl getting involved. She's just, a sweet girl that's almost a cousin to Deku, if anything else, because of All Might.
Yeah. She doesn't have any romantic intentions during this. She's just trying to be a superhero.
I think so. So anyway, Ochako is saved by the rose vest.
There's a lot of roses. Yep. And then this was really cool teamwork too on this part was like Bakugo's like yelling at Todoroki not to order him around or whatever, but they turn the turbine around and then utilize Todoroki's heat to turn it to make air to push Deku and them back the right direction. Just crazy.
It's really smart. I also do like the fact that they're like, Bakugo, aim that turbine at them. Like, don't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I want. And then he does exactly what they ask him.
It's just like, and it's funny that he asked him to do it again. It's like the two of them just were in sync for this movie.
They have the best combo of powers. It's like they work well together. They got to just work well together. That's all. That's all we ask.
Bakugo doesn't work well with anybody.
I know, which is why season 5 and season 6 are going to be interesting to watch. That's all. And so they blow Deku back towards the tower. They're heading towards the tower really quick, thanks to Shoto's air turbine, and he has to blow a hole in the wall. Which does not knock out Melissa's shield. Sorry, there's some things missing here, but a villain pops up and he knocks out Melissa's shield.
Yeah, and there's actually blood. It was like crazy a little bit.
Yeah. It was a strong hit.
Yeah,
the sword guy, right? Sword arm guy.
Yeah, yes. I don't even know what they didn't even give him a name. Actually, now that I think about it, they some random henchman.
Dan, this is because Deku is a man. All men see everything as sexual at first. It's just how men are. You know this. You're a man. I don't think it has anything to do with Deku. It's just how it is. What a green scab? Oh, screen grab. Which one? Oh, is it for... I don't know which screen that was. Sorry.
I don't know. This one probably. Oh, this one's pretty good too.
It is good.
Yeah.
Though I think it's like somehow out of place because I feel like the next screen is
the one should have gone before it probably. Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah. Because he jumps up
first.
But like he like falls down, hangs by one arm. Like the motion in this movie was like crazy. Like their fight sequences, like they move like they don't normally do in the TV show. This one, okay.
So wait, what a screen grab is this one?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, actually, look at her feet, or at least one of her feet are aimed towards us, and her face is aiming towards the other. Like that leg is broken beyond belief. if it's aiming towards us. All right. Anyway.
All right, we keep going past this fight. They get past this and then get up to the main building where they're expecting to see more villains, and happen.
Hang on. This is my favorite moment, I think, in the entire movie. Is this one hallway weird battle scene that Deku has just knocking out a dude, because it's him jumping off all these walls. It's like this tight corridor battle where it's like the first time we've seen, like, it's just a random dude with no name with a gun shooting at them, and Deku's like bouncing off all these walls, and he gets behind him and just knocks him out. And it's like the coolest freaking thing. Like, this honestly is probably number 3 in terms of my top 3 moments of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this scene is the scene I want to show everybody. Like, this is what Deku can do. He's super quick, bounces off everything, and he has like superpower. So
he's dodging bullets. So
he's dodging bullets and knocking people out. Like, I know a lot of people probably just like watch the scene and kind of keep going. I don't know why this one scene always sticks with me. Whenever it pops up, I always rewind it and watch it again, like every time. So here you go.
Now we get to like the big kind of climax before the end of the movie, which is they find out that the whole, I don't even know, scheme, whatever this is that's going on with the tower, was done by Dave in an attempt to steal back his own tech that was taken from him by the company that runs the island, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's investors. I really do think it's a classic investor scenario. Being like, we're going to cut your funding because we don't see good applications of this. We think it'll be weaponized too easily, kind of yada yada.
Which is true. So it's just kind of one thing, because Dave only has one purpose for it. He's not thinking about making multiples. He's thinking about utilizing it for one person, and no one else is going to gain that. But it's actually kind of a shock to these two, because one, Deku was like, you're All Might's friend. You're supposed to be the epitome of like someone good. And the daughter's been idolizing him for her entire life. So it's it was a big shocker.
I felt really bad for Melissa during this, because like, when we saw her explain her whole situation to Deku when she gives him the full gauntlet, it's that thing where like she had come to terms with her, being quirkless, and it was thanks to her dad continually fighting, yada yada yada. Like, she had like all this kind of closure on things, and I feel like seeing her dad get perverted in this way and kind of go the route of villainy in a small way, probably will call into question in her mind her own like growth. And I felt bad for her character at that moment. Like, I don't want to see her growth get stunted based on, her dad making a bad choice when he's in his 40s or something like that,
Yeah. Then this other guy that we don't know what his quirk is, but he has a cool eye thing going on too. Magneto shows up and then shoots people, by the way, like like random.
I get this, because like this guy Sam is delivering the case, and he's like, oh good, cool, I'm my whole life has just been in service of this one invention, and I wanted a reward, and that's why I went the villainy route to get the invention back, to get the reward for it. And he's like, oh, I have your reward right here, blam, because I just want the invention. I don't care about you and your reward or whatever. I just want what you stole for us. That's it. See ya. Like, that's what happens when you get into bed with villains. They're gonna be villains. Be villains.
It's just funny. It was like the motive though for it was like I wanted to be like, I don't even know. It just seemed weird to me, but it made sense.
I didn't find his motive weird. I didn't find the dad's motive weird either. It's like,
no, the dad's made sense, but like,
the dad was for All Might, right? Like, he made that thing for All Might. Sam was like, I bought into your ideal because this is going to become my life's work. This is going to be the good thing I attribute to society, right? And then when he spent like a decade working on this thing, and then all of a sudden that thing gets just taken away, he spent all that time for nothing. And like, that time is his life. Like, he wasted his life working on this thing, and that thing got taken away. So that's why he wanted to steal it back, to be like, no, we could do something good with this. This could be good. Like, let's give this to society. Like, this is why I worked on this thing. And instead, he's like, no, you went about it wrong. You shouldn't have probably hired real villains to steal it. But whatever.
Well, I think Dave thought they weren't real villains. He thought they were actors. Isn't that the whole like point? Like he was like talking to him for a while, and then he took a bullet for Sam right here because he's still trying to make amends for everything once he realizes what he did.
Dave definitely did not know they were real villains. Sam did because he knew that Dave would not like I swear it's like something to do with like him using it for All Might or like not like getting into production, all that stuff. Like again, if he even just gave it to All Might, which is Dave's whole purpose, that would still make Sam's 2 decades of work all for naught in Sam's mind. Sam is looking for recognition. He's looking for clout, which is like a villainous thing from the get-go, right? It's like if you're doing it all for recognition, you're doing it for the wrong reasoning. However, that is where he is. Like he spent all this time working on it, and there's nothing you can do about it, kind of deal. But I don't know.
And then you get this awesome like fighting sequence, even though like Deku not only fending off Magneto, but also saving Melissa into her route for where she's going. And this is your next moment, right? Where he like talks to her. They have a full conversation because she talks too and he talks too, but there's no actual mouth movement.
No mouth moving. They're talking with their eyes, folks. This is telepathy. Yeah, this is moment 2. Because like her reaction is like she's actually reacting in kind to what he is saying with his eyeballs. What? Okay,
they're going to be great sidekicks together.
I guess so. But Melissa's whole journey to shut down the machines is fruitful. They get shut down. All the kids are saved. All Might is saved.
He heads up there to get to them.
Yeah, I think Melissa calls them on the phone, right?
That's when he stops in the hallway to answer the phone, and she kind of gives him like I think just the rundown of everything that's going on.
Yeah. But so this is when the villains are getting to the helicopter. They're about to leave. Deku shows up and wants to save David Shield. David Shield's like, no, don't.
He doesn't want to be saved. Yeah.
Like, I deserve this kind of nonsense. I turned to the route of villainy in a sense. So, like, I deserve what's coming to me. But Deku does not listen. And he runs and jumps and clings on to the freaking helicopter.
Which I don't know what he's going to do, but that's just crazy. Well, actually, he had the right idea because someone else runs and jumps in on the helicopter at the same time and actually has a plan for how to take it down with super strength. So I guess it makes sense, but this is just kind of like...
we're talking about All Might. I take it based on that. All Might doesn't really run and jump and grab onto a helicopter. He kind of jumps into the air, and then propels himself through a helicopter, somehow grabs a person in mid destruction of said helicopter, and lands just fine. Everybody lands just fine, which we'll get to those scenes. But yeah.
And Deku's kind of remembering because he wants Melissa to make sure that his dad gets saved. And I think this is like his whole thing. Again, it's just like going through his mind that he needs to be able to save people. He doesn't want them to get away. And like, I think this is like you said before, it was right before the Bakugo thing. So he still has that mentality where he might have let go of somebody.
Yeah. And I think this is when David starts to realize that this kid is a hero. Like he has a hero's heart kind of deal. Like he's doing it for altruistic reasoning, where Dave might be starting to realize that his is a little bit selfish, trying to cling on to things. And I feel like this is when the Magneto guy kicks him, right? Like it looks like he shot him again, but I think it just kicks him into the wall.
Which was like, there's a lot of blood in this movie, which is ridiculous. Like I'm like this poor guy is just like, oh,
that much blood loss, he'd be dead. Let's be honest. So I think this is one of the craziest moments of this entire movie. They are so high up in this helicopter, and I forget exactly how. I think like the Magneto guy kicks Deku from the helicopter or whatever it is, and Deku falls for what seems like skyscraper size amount of time, right? Like, but he hits the ground makes this crater of an impact. And he's like, that kind of hurt.
Doesn't have time to get up and start screaming again. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, how did you survive that? You insane. Okay, I get it. He has one for all, sure. But I guess we've never been treated to his like slight invulnerability to stuff. But that would kill a normal human. Like kill a normal human.
Yeah.
Right?
There was a lot of unrealistic. This fight sequence is pretty crazy as they get through everything going on.
Good point. There's a lot of moments where All Might dies in this fight scene.
Or should have.
Speaking of All Might,
he shows up, which is great. And then they get started with the fight scene. He just always has to have like that pose, which is great. So,
but I love that he propels himself up into the sky, and he has enough time to pose in the middle of the sky before like flexing to propel himself forward. And that's one of my favorite things about All Might is that he can't fly. He is jumping and flexing, and that is exactly how he propels himself in different directions.
It's very cute that both of them are very excited too that it's All Might and everything's going to be okay. And then it slowly, like not even slowly, quickly becomes not okay because this guy like shows up with the invention on and craziness.
Yeah. The dad is taken quickly, and then all of a sudden,
it's like Magneto with the Technodrome. It's like ridiculous.
And All Might is losing gas like ridiculously quick.
I don't know how he was going to do it without the other kids showing up because I was like, this is way too much craziness.
I think. Always assume people with powers have a little more invulnerability as a treat. Yeah, no, I agree with you, especially when it comes to super strength, James, because like I feel like if you have super strength, I feel like that just makes you assume your muscle fibers are more dense and stronger, and therefore you can take more damage as well as deliver more damage. So I think like that kind of is par and for the course. So I do think that like One for All, like someone who could punch a hole through like 5 walls in one punch could hit someone with One for All, and it would be like a normal punch to a normal person kind of deal, you know? So you're right. But it's like, it's still funny watching scrawny Deku fall from, I don't know, 30 stories up in the air, making a crater, and then getting up and crying about not being able to like hold on to a helicopter that long
and save them. Yeah. So crazy. And then we go into like this fight was like insanity happening because there was way too many like almost people to watch and see what's going on. And I'm glad that he caught her because I was like, what's Melissa doing during this whole thing? She's quirkless and human and just flying around, like going all over the place. This is crazy. Oh yeah. The cement toss metal pillars.
This is so this whole fight is metal pillars coming out of everybody's wazoo. Luke Cage shit. Exactly, Luke Cage shit. This is the moment where All Might is like at his last gasp, pretty much, right? Like he's coughing up blood, he's vomiting blood, he's stopped so many pillars, but like he can't do it anymore. He's like, look at all that air just like leaving his body. And like you think it's, as always with MHA, you think the guy is at his limits, and then
the kids show up.
And Bakugo, with a great face on, yells at All Might, like, what, you're gonna let some like second string villain like beat you up kind of thing? And that fuels All Might.
Yeah, because he's like, if my kids can believe in me, then why am I not doing the best that I can too? What does it say? What's a limit or something to that point? Like, what even is the word limit?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy looks crazy too with all the glowing and
this is when we find out that he has more powers than just his metal powers. And we learn that there's a connection to, and I will say the first time I watched this movie, when I was in the theater, I was like, you didn't need to ham it up and throw in fucking All for One. Like, it didn't need to have that connection to All for One. Like, it doesn't need to be like parallel to the main story of the movie. It could have just been a one-off villain with Magneto powers, with super, like, if you amplify Magneto powers, he can crush the planet, right? He reverses magnetic poles.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. We don't know what happened with this weird power that's making his skin glow, right? Like, we don't know what other things are, except for the fact that All Might's like, he's exhibiting more powers than just his regular power. So I don't know. I felt like that was a little hammered in, which it didn't need to be.
Yeah, and I thought that maybe that the machine was doing it too.
What?
I thought the machine was turning him different colors. Like maybe it was like malfunctioning or something. It wasn't made for his type of quirk. So I was like, wow, something's weird. So,
and this is one of those moments where I think about like the second movie. I think ties in, the grand story of All for One, Tamora, like all like those villains better into the story. This one, it seemed like a little ham-fisted. Like, let's just throw them in there. But whatever. I still love this movie a lot.
I like how she's got I never noticed that she had the shields. I even took this.
Protect your babies.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And he's still out, so they're just holding on to Kaminari just to protect him. It's crazy.
Which poor Kaminari needs to get a hold of his power, because he is always in like dumb mode. I'm sorry, EA mode.
It's just it's insane.
So
this is
in that yellow, not yellow, well, yellow, purple like blob is a bunch of debris catching All Might, and all of a sudden he hammers it with a bunch of pillars to kind of crush All Might. And this is like that moment where you're like, oh, they kill All Might in this movie, like what? And everybody's screaming Uncle Might or whatever, like All Might, and everybody kind of has like a reaction. And then out of the blue, Deku jumps up to smash into pieces.
Yeah, which I don't know if that would have been a good idea, but yeah, it works. I like that.
Oh, because All Might's in there.
Yeah, I'm like, is that really gonna work? But and then I like that they both were like, Deku, you need to do this, like hurry up too, because they were cheering him on. But I was waiting for you to say this was your favorite part when they team up.
I will tell you, my absolute favorite part is coming up. So Deku in the hallway is easily my top 3 favorite moments, but my number 1 favorite moment is it'll come up in a second, but it comes up as a result of this team up between Midoriya and All Might, which every time I watch it, every time, doesn't matter if I've seen it 1,000 times, 20 times, whatever, I still get goosebumps. I don't know why. It's the music, it's them running together. It's just like seeing the mentor mentee and seeing like this thing that watching it because it's a movie, and where we are in terms of the story in the anime, we're not going to ever get it again, of like, because at this point in the anime, All Might is powerless, right? And like you get to see them fight alongside each other, and it's great. And it's like that special moment that's just like, oh my god, like I live for this, the moment of MHA. And we get to see like Deku's first use of like shoot style, even though he doesn't call it such, but he like kicks his way through blocks and things like that. There's just such great animation. But my favorite moment is something way more ridiculous. I do like everybody's reaction.
I'm waiting for it. Oh my god, the big square in the sky too.
I love that this is the main move for the villain is I'm just going to make a giant, bigger cube to crush everyone. The little cubes didn't do it. Well, how about this bigger one?
My son's been playing a lot of Minecraft, so he just calls them lucky blocks when you make big ones, and so he's just like, that's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh no,
that's a big lucky block, all right.
Big lucky block.
So everybody's like, what the hell? We're about to be crushed.
Yeah.
But we got a double Detroito smash. And we got everybody yelling.
Yeah, because that's when they start cheering him on for his... Oh, and the gauntlet laugh. I didn't even notice it lit up like that.
Well, so he had already exploded it. This is it magically coming back.
Oh. So it manifested with his quirk.
Yeah, I really do think that their whole purpose with the glowing, is that it exploded earlier. I think it exploded when he saved All Might. Actually, I'm going to jump back a couple screens, just kind of see.
Oh, it did, because when he hit the brick. No?
He's wearing it here.
Oh.
I forget what I think it does explode before he uses it, but it comes back, and I feel like that is all one for all reusing it. It was one for all is like almost a magic ability, right? It's like catch all everything, and they could make it reappear, and that kind of is what is happening here. But this right here, All Might flexing his way through the villain, is my favorite moment of the movie. Because he literally just stands back and just flexes and then propels himself forward, and then that is like the punch.
Oh my god.
It's so
it was
cool.
really cool. Like, this whole sequence was fast and it was very cool. And blows up the big lucky block.
Everything was super stretched out. Like, you can tell from this one screen grab right here, everything is like exaggerated in a way.
It's very... Oh, I did get it partially. Or did you overlay them?
No, you did it.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed with myself.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well done. Oh, best of friend though. Oh, Jujutsu Kaisen. But yeah, so we get that. This is what we're seeing of All Might here is what David Shield has been seeing on his phone this whole time, because we're seeing Deku punch his way through the villain through David Shield's eyes. So we are seeing him kind of mirror imaging these two moments, the moment of seeing All Might and All Might's successor in his mind together.
Which was, and then you have buff Deku.
Yeah, uncomfortably ripped Deku next to with the shield. It was like, he is uncomfortably buff. I love Ina being like, wait, is that Deku up there? I can't quite tell.
I like how Bakugo's like, I don't really care. I'm done now. Oh. This is like too old for, like, because they're both like older now. So it's like, it made me laugh because like it's two old friends, really, like, they're both like, okay, we're way too old for this. Like, they just defeated somebody and they're both critically hurt, kind of living their life lesson, and now they're going to look on at their daughter and son, and then kind of go on to the next generation. It was really cool.
It hits being almost the age that I believe these two characters to be. I really do think that it is like exactly as you said. It's like these two middle-aged guys being like, hey, we are past our time, we should not be doing this, but here we are doing this, and look at us all damaged. And like, look at these two kids living their best life, like having survived this, and like now they're ready to like fight again within like a moment's notice. Even though Deku has blood pouring from his eye. But
look at Melissa's arm. It's slashed.
Well, it's a tiny baby cut from sword arms.
Sword arms.
Yeah. But so this is pretty much the end of the movie is David Shield understanding the fact that there's a next generation of heroes, and I was too clouded of judgment to kind of see it the whole time, that it was literally my own daughter and your surrogate son / student, Deku. And we get a lot of treats during the credits of this movie, because this is the last screenshot, I believe. We get like all of the kids on the island, the ones who were there that didn't get to partake in this whole adventure. We get them hanging out. We get them doing a barbecue with All Might. We even get like a clip of Melissa Shield going to the hospital under police supervision to go visit her dad, and like kind of seeing that they're rekindling their relationship, if it was even remotely flawed. I think Melissa probably saw her dad and kind of saw the fact that he was doing it in an altruistic manner, and kind of got the chance to kind of see that. And the fact that maybe it was Sam who perverted that dream. Because, if it was actually like fake villains, no one really would have been hurt. However, they would have been overrun very quickly, and their whole plan would have been shot to shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a good end. It's a really good ending of like a lot of MHA has to do with generations, and I feel like this movie does it probably best because I feel like the series as a whole talks about generations, but it talks about it in long form. And this movie takes that and distills it down to like 130 minutes or something like that, or however long it is. I think it's only 90 minutes long. It's like it has a lot to do with you have to at a certain point realize we basically have like 40 to 50 years of doing our best, and then the next stage of our life is training those behind us to take that place and build that up. And that's exactly what All Might is trying to teach David Shield during this. It's like, hey, no, there is a next generation. Like I've already made amends with that. Like my next generation is there. I had to make amends with it because let me tell you something. As soon as I pass it to him, that cut shit off for me. I'm done. Like, the same it's not the same for you where you're a regular guy. You can always continue to teach your daughter, but you have to understand that she is the hero that you want to be. She is that continued. And I like, as I get older, I love those stories more. And I think it is because I am at the mentor stage, I guess.
No.
Let me tell you, Steph. Come on. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I really like this movie hits with me a lot of this. But that's it. We did that fairly quickly.
I was trying.
Yeah, I know. I think we did it really well. I feel like when we do the second movie, it's going to be harder because it is a lot more action, and I feel like we're going to want to capture that action and really talk about like specific things that are happening.
There's a lot of, when they have the action sequences, they have a lot of cool moves and stuff that you're going to want to like showcase and stuff like that. And
this one has it, but it's more in service of a story, where the other one is for look at the progress of these kids to get to this point. So watch what they're doing now. This one is very much, here's where we are with these students, but look at what they're able to do with that. The next one is a much grander evolution of them.
Yeah. And then the third one will be even more.
I'm beyond fucking stoked for that third movie, whatever ends up being. The Three Musketeers.
Maybe we'll get
suits. I just want toys of those suits.
That's what more toys, period. We're gonna talk about that later, but it's like one of those things.
Always more toys. Always more toys. Figma, Good Smile, Revoltech, listen to us. More toys. Banpresto, more statues. Everybody, give us more. But yeah, so if you had to pick a number one moment from the movie, let me guess first for you. I'm going to guess it's Bakugo and Kirishima, the suit thing, where they're like, I didn't bring a dress suit. No, that's not it. What is it?
So I'm gonna have two. So one fan favorite one. I really like when Bakugo charges in to save a Chaco, and then they have that fight sequence. That sequence is actually really cool for me, at least. For like, I like watching Bakugo do a lot of things, but fighting is like one of the coolest things. I like the way he moves and like stuff like that. But for the movie, for the whole entire thing, like for the watching it and doing it, that first sequence when they fight those villains with the car and everything, it's awesome. It's just amazing to watch it.
One of my favorite openings to a movie ever. Like, because it is only like, I think it's like 10 minutes long or something. Yeah. It's not like a long opener, but it is a very different opener than I think what anyone's expecting. Like when I went to the movie theater and there's like a bald eagle flying in, you're like, oh, what's this? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, there's a jewelry store exploding and there's villains leaving. I'm like, oh, hey, we're just jumping right into the swing of it. And I actually love the opening to the second movie too. Like, I just love when we start off in medias res, right? Like in the middle of things. And it's like, we get young All Might, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is young All Might, and it's young All Might and David Shield, and they're doing crazy stuff. And yeah, that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm. Your turn.
Yeah, I think mine has to be that silly pose down at the end. But I have 3 top moments of that movie, and it is that silly pose down at the end, and it is Deku in the hallway getting to see like how he uses his ability differently. Because I don't think I ever could imagine All Might bouncing off the walls the way Deku does. Like I think Deku is very specifically Deku and the way he uses One for All. And then the opening as like a nice tight third. James, do you have a favorite moment from the movie? Dan, if you're still here, Christy too, let us know. Because we ended a lot earlier than I thought. I was thinking that we were going to be going until 10. So
no.
I know. It's not even 9 yet. This is actually earlier than a normal episode, which is crazy. But
see, we could have had all 300 screens.
We could have had all 300 screens. We could have. Just so you guys know, I cut out like I feel bad because I cut out like about 80 screens from the number of screenshots we had. But I feared for how long it was going to be.
Before I sent them to you, there was 423.
Holy shit.
So I was like, I had to tone this down. And I'm like, if I get it down to like 260, it won't be too bad.
Because you would ask me before we started, like, how many screens should I send him? Like, 1. So our normal episodes are like 50. So if you send me for one movie 150 plus 20 screens for the additional thing, it's going to be way longer than a normal thing or a normal episode. But yeah, I think it's easier to talk about a movie because it is one cohesive story too. So we'll remember this for next time. But yeah. So that's it. It seems like chat isn't really kind of rolling anymore. So maybe we'll end it here. Thank you guys for checking out the special movie edition of My Hero Analysis Beyond, the MHA rewatch. Steph confirmed with me, I think we're returning again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
To start season 4.
Yeah.
Which does start with a recap episode. So it'll be a recap episode and then 2 episodes after that. We're going back to our 3 episodes per, and we'll just jump right into the swing of things. And that should lead us into season 5 going current, which is exciting. And we'll probably, after we finish season 4, we'll discuss, but we'll probably do the second movie. Oh, James, don't worry. Washing dishes is important.
It is important.
So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks. If things change, I promise to try to update on my Instagram at the very least. I know things changed this week. I probably should have posted something. But I don't know. At the same time, it's like
it works.
It is what it is. So, all right, guys. Catch you guys later. Thank you again. And till next time.